Good morning. So it's actually evening, but it feels like the beginning of a new project. So good morning anyway. We are going to be doing an introduction to acrylics and scraping instead of painting with acrylics. So first of all, I have to say I am sorry because these scrapers, although they work really well, they smell terrible. Hi, Gus. Okay, flying cat. I've tried to wash it and soap it, and it still is this weird, smelly thing. We just have to tolerate it. Let's get started. So we're going to experiment with some color mixing and color scraping. In your sketchbook, go to a new clean piece of paper, and we're going to make a chart so that we can practice with our primary colors, tinting and shading them. So we want to make 5 columns going this direction. So that is going to be approximately 2 inches each. So we'll make a mark at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then that gives us a little bit of leftover if yours is an 11-inch sketchbook. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but using your ruler just keeps it pretty straight. I'm using a regular HB pencil. You can use any kind of pencil that you want. And then we want to make 6 sections going this way. So mine is an 8-inch sketchbook, so I'm going to go 1.25 inches for each of these sections. So 1.25 inches, and then I'm just going to slide my ruler down. Now I can go another 1.25 inches. I can slide my ruler an 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you need any help with that ruler and measuring, just let me know. These don't have to be perfectly straight. Gus thinks he's locked into the room. So we're going to make some labels. Across the right-hand side, we are going to start with up here, blue, which is one of our primary colors, skip, red, another primary, skip, yellow. And we're just focusing on the primary colors right now. Then up here along the top, we are also going to label. We're going to start with tint 2, tint 1, full chroma, shade 1, and shade 2. So you might be wondering, what exactly is it that I'm talking about when I'm talking about tints and shades? So if you get out this handy dandy little color wheel and take a close look at it, what you'll find is that, first of all, it gives us a visual wheel to demonstrate the relationships between our primary colors. So yellow, blue, and red are at the tips of the main triangle, and these are the 3 primary colors. Primary colors are the colors that cannot be mixed from any other color, and you can see that up here. That is the very definition of a primary color. So if I want red, I can't mix 2 other colors and get red. I can only get red from the original red paint. And then down here at the bottom, it talks about hue, and chroma is another word for hue. It's also, both of those words are another words for color. A tint is when you add white to color. So if I add white to red, it will eventually become a light red, which is also known as pink. and a shade is when I add black. So if I add black to red, it will become a very dark shade of red. So what we would like to do is to take out our paints and become familiar with our paints by making them into tints and making them into shades of their natural color. So you'll want your palette, and we're going to go ahead and set up our palette in the same way that the color chart is set up. So the color chart has yellow at the top, so we're going to do that. You might need to give it a little shake, pop open the top, and then squeeze it out. You can just squeeze out a little bit of yellow. There's no need to fill the whole well, just maybe like even a quarter of it. You can always add more if you need. And then red is down here in the bottom right, and we're going to skip 2 wells and then go to the third one. Squeeze in just a little bit of red. And then we're going to skip 2 wells, and down here we're going to put blue. And so we're trying to get the amount of paint that we need without having a lot of extra that just gets thrown out at the end of the day. The center is generally used for mixing, but we're going to be mixing a little bit out here, so I'm just going to use the center for my black and for my white. Today, our goal is to tint and shade yellow, tint and shade red, and tint and shade blue. So we're going to put this to the side. And we're going to give ourselves some white. And I'm going to give myself about twice as much white as I did any of these colors. Black is a really strong color, but I'm going to put in about the same amount as my base colors. Now I'm going to use this stick to do some mixing and make sure that I have, this is toilet paper, but paper towels, so that you can wipe off the stick. We're not going to be using a brush today. We're going to be mixing with the stick, and then we're going to be applying it with our scraper. So to begin with, before we do any mixing, we're going to fill in the full chroma chart for blue, red, and yellow. And I always start with the lightest, just because it tends to be, I don't know why I do that, but I think it just makes it easier or better. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my stick, and I'm picking up some of my yellow, and I'm applying it, just going across the top, kind of like a line of the yellow. Make sure that you're in the yellow of your chart and in the full chroma. So down from the full chroma, over from the yellow. Make a nice little line. And then you can take your yellow and just wipe it off. And take your scraper and put it down and then scrape toward you. Whatever extra yellow you have, you can wipe off. And we're going to do that same thing with the red, making sure to clean off your stick in between each application. Pick up the red, make sure that you're in the right spot, straight down from full chroma and straight over from red. I'm just going to make a little line here of color. Okay, wipe off my red, come back with my scraper and scrape it down. And maybe I'll scrape that again just to get off the extra. And with my blue, make sure that my stick is clean. Pick up my blue, full chroma and blue. So this is just giving us a chance to kind of get to know what these colors look like. Now I'm going to clean this off and scrape down. Okay. So these are the base colors straight out of the bottle. And this is cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and cobalt blue. These three colors are as close as primary yellow, red, and blue as you get in paint. So the next thing that we're going to do is to start tinting our colors. And again, I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is my yellow. And to tint it, I add white. So go ahead and say add white and add white. So I'm going to tint it partially, adding a little bit of white, and then I'm going to tint it even more, adding more white. A couple things to keep in mind: yellow is a light color. White is a light color. It tints really easily, and you can basically use the same proportion, equal amounts of the two. So I'm going to pick up the white, and I'm going to put it to the right of my yellow. And then I'm going to pick up some yellow, about 50-50, and I'm going to mix it in, and it should give me this really beautiful lemon yellow. I'm going to pick up my tinted white, and I'm going to make a little line with it, use my scraper, and you can see that it is the same yellow, it's just a lighter version. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to add twice as much white. It'll just give me an even lighter version. So I'm just going to pick up more of the white, mix it in. This should make it very, very light. Very, very, very light. Pick up this super light tint, make a streak across. I'm already making a mess. It's okay. It's okay. It'll all come off. Ah, my goodness. Okay, it's all right. If at any time you would like to take a minute, wash your hands, get another paper towel, I highly encourage you to. I'm going to drag this down, and you can see how more white mixed with your color gives you an even lighter version of that color. Great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tint red now. Make sure that I've wiped off my yellow. Don't want it to turn orange. And we're going to take the white. We're going to pick up a healthy dollop and put it next to the red. Now, red is a much stronger color than yellow, which means that we need less of it to mix in with our white in order to tint the white. So I'm going to pick up not very much red and mix it into my white. You really should be able to visually see in your mixing well the difference between these two colors. And I do. This looks like a nice light red, which it's starting to look pink. So I'm going to pick that up, drag across a little line, and scrape it down. Okay, wipe off my stick, come back, and I'm going to tint it even more. I'm starting to run low on my white, so I'm going to come back in here. Okay. And I'm just going to pick up more white and mix it in. Might even do a little bit more. So it doesn't look like it's changed much from my first tint. So I'm going to get more white, mix it in there. I'm really trying to mix it super light. Maybe even a little bit more. Okay, that's nice. And give myself my little line. Scrape it down. Nice. So it's almost, you can't see it. Perfect. Wipe this off. Wipe this off. This is such a mess. Okay. Now we're going to tint the blue. Blue, similar to red, is very strong, which means that you need proportionately much, much less blue than you do white. So I'm going to turn this around, and just to the left of our blue, we're going to add white. Now you see that there's some pink in here from when I dipped in with my red. I really want pure white. So if you have kind of a little bit of a mess like I do, then you can do a couple of things. You can wipe out your well. You can wipe out the part that has pink on it. But if you have any red in there, then it'll start to change your blue to purple. Okay, so looks like I need more white. Oopsie. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up white. I'm gonna come over here, just to the other side of my blue. Now, you guys, I'm telling you, you don't need very much blue at all. Just pick up a little bit of blue. You can always add in more. Do you see how little that is? Yeah, you can always add in more if you need. And then mix it in. Okay, so maybe a little bit more. Go slow is the key, especially with these really strong colors. Otherwise, you end up just using a ton of white. Okay, great. Now go ahead and make a little line going across. Take your scraper, scrape it down. And then we're going to tint it even more. So picking up more of the white. And I have quite a bit of like middle blue in here, so I'm not going to mix it into the whole thing. I'm just going to mix in like a little tiny bit because I'm really trying to conserve. I'm trying to get the colors that I need without just using a ton of paint that I want to end up throwing out at the end. But it looks like I need more. Oh my gosh, look. Okay, I have to do something about that. It's okay. It's all okay. It's just paint. Okay, let's try this again. Blue, white. Trying to make the lightest shade of blue, which means a tiny bit of blue. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay. Scrape it down. And you can tell that it's just barely there blue. Okay, time to do our shades, and we're just going to go right with the blue and the red and the yellow, progressively getting darker by adding more black. So we're going to start again with our yellow, turning my wheel around, and I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to put it over here. And then I'm going to add black. Black is obviously the strongest color that we have, so it's not going to take very much at all to make this yellow a darker yellow. So I just have the littlest bittiest bit on there. Mix it in. And you'll notice that your yellow turns a little bit of green. That's because there is some blue in the black, which helps to make the black black. And it is reacting to that so that the yellow is picking up on that. All right, now we're gonna string it across and use our scraper. So if I wanted to make an avocado or something that was this like lovely olivey green, an olive, then I would make it by mixing yellow with a tiny bit of black. Okay, now what happens, how can we make it a darker shade? A darker shade just means more black. So I'm mixing in more black. Look at that, it's so strong, I actually lost my yellow, so I'm gonna pick up a little bit more yellow. in here. Okay, drag it across. Those strong colors really, you don't need very much at all. Okay, wipe it off. Now I'm going to come to my red and and shade my red. So I'm going to pick up some red, move it over into one of my wells. And again, the tiniest bit, guys, the tiniest bit, littlest bit. Mix it in there. And it is making my red dark, a darker red. Pick it up, drag it across. Drag it down. And you can kind of see where my boo-boo, my white was on there. It's okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm picking up more black, but again, not very much. In fact, I might put some of that back. Mixing it in with my red in order to make even a darker version of red. Drag it across. And drag it down. Darker red. So you should still be able to see that it's red. You should still be able to see that it's yellow, just darker versions. And wipe that down. And now to my blue. I'm going to rotate this around. This is my blue. I'm going to pick up my blue, put it over here so that I can tint it in a new clean well. Pick up the smallest amount of black that I can. Mix it in there. Okay. And part of this is just practice, just trying to figure out how much black to blue proportionately we need and what effect it has. And now we're going to pick up a little bit more black, mix it in. And that'll give us our final shade. Now you can just drag that down. Now it looks like these are pretty much the same to me. So what I can do is I can come back and I can just go ahead and add a little bit more black. And then let's see what happens when we put it on top and then drag it down again. Won't know until we try. Okay, so that's better. A second layer made a difference. All right, so this is primary yellow, primary red, primary blue, tints and shades. Now, you probably, like me, still have paint that's perfectly usable in your palette. And if you just take your page and maybe, I don't know, like let it dry, something like that, you can use this paint in your sketchbook to mess around with the scraper. A couple things that we can do. Now we have tints and shades of all of our colors, and you can just kind of play around with it. Great job, guys!